Hello everyone, thanks for coming outside me today. Today we have another gear review for 2021 and we're looking at FORLOH's outdoor hunting apparel. So I've done a lot of different gear and clothing reviews here in 2020-2021 time frame, and this is going to be no exception here, and I got a few more coming down the pipe. But I've had FORLOH here, this particular base layer, for several months now, and I've been trying it out in the late part of archery season, and then now as we're getting ready for turkey season here in a couple weeks here in Pennsylvania. Now I could bore you to death with all the specs and everything else. I'll put some screenshots and scroll throughs of FORLOH's website and what they're all about, but I'm more interested in how this garment actually performs. Now, right off the bat, if you go to FORLOH's website, you'll notice their stuff is expensive, like Sitka, First Light expensive. But you have to remember with these premium clothing companies like Sitka, First Light, KUIU, so on and so forth, they know they're not for everybody. They're interested in appealing and working for those people that are taking that elk trip, going up to Nova Scotia to hunt black bear, going over to Africa. Those trips and those hunts that happen once every decade or once in a lifetime, they're interested in appealing to that customer base. Now, FORLOH is no exception here. They're going to be making some really high quality, really expensive clothing garments for those hunters that are interested in those out west trips, in those up north trips, or if you're going across the pond. Just like Sitka, FORLOH is based in the Mountain West, so they are dealing with a lot of elk hunters, a lot of sheep hunters, a lot of pronghorn hunters, and so they're dealing with guys that are going out on trips. Me here hunting in the whitetail woods of Pennsylvania or anywhere else in the Northeast, Midwest, or the Southeast, you're doing these 1 or maybe 2 day hunts at the most. For me, it's mostly a morning hunt, come back home, evening hunt, come back home, so on and so forth. Very rarely am I taking trips, and probably the vast majority of you are also not taking trips either. But these clothes are designed for you to be in the middle of nowhere. You only have a satellite phone, no real cell service, and you need your clothes to perform and to continue performing even if you're out there for 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Now, of course, FORLOH's not paying me to say any of that. This is just my own personal opinion and my own personal thought. A lot of these premium companies are not appealing to most of the whitetail hunters on the East Coast in particular that are just hunting in their local public lands or on their local private piece. Now, I will say though, if you're going to get a base layer that you want to perform when you do take that out of state trip or you do go on that out west trip, this midway base layer here that I'm currently wearing is phenomenal for several reasons. Even though I haven't taken it out west, I can see exactly how it would perform in those moments. So I don't really care about the whole this is lightweight, midweight, heavyweight. Basically, when it comes to thermal layers here in the colder temps, Midwest, Northeast, you are either in the warm season where you can get away with a thinner base layer like this, or you're cold and you're wearing heavyweight layers. And of course, the further you go down, the less breathability you get, the more sweat you get, so on and so forth. So basically, unless you are out west on the Pacific Northwest where you're dealing with a lot of moisture or you're dealing with more temperate climate compared to up here in the Northeast and the Midwest where it's really cold. I mean, here we are the last couple weeks of April and we're still getting into the 30s at night. You really aren't really interested in midweight and lightweight thermals. This is really for like that first bit, that first chunk of the archery season in the early season, or what I'm really excited to use it for, which is turkey season. So the FORLOH clothing, the big claim to fame they have here is that the entire thing is made in the United States. The fibers are made in the United States labor, they're manufactured here, everything is here in the United States, which can't be said for a lot of other premium companies like Sitka and First Light. Now, there's nothing wrong with being made overseas, but if you want something that literally from start to finish is a United States product right here in the contiguous 48, then FORLOH is the way to go. I don't think of actually any other premium company that's making everything literally in-house down to the actual fibers to the finished product that I'm wearing. As of course, as the world has evolved to what it is today with all the trade and everything, even my Ford pickup truck has parts that aren't from the United States in it. So it's pretty unique, and FORLOH has really carved out a niche here in the market of something that is literally 100% USA done. So kudos to them. That's not easy in today's world, in today's market, today's society and mindset. So that's actually pretty impressive. And to still keep it for $100 for a base layer, which is expensive, do not get me wrong. And they did send this to me, and I probably would not have paid $100 for this base layer just based on my budget and the type of hunting that I do. But based for turkey season or those out west trips, the materials and the technology that you put into this base layer is actually really impressive. So the biggest problem that I have with undergarments is that they stink. I don't like to wash my clothes as much as some might do. You know, like John Eberhardt's constantly de-scenting everything. I'm not that person. I don't get too wound about it, but my undergarments just stink. Like, you wear a base layer, you sweat once or twice and it's over. You have to wash it. That has not been the case with this shirt. I deliberately, over the end of winter, beginning of spring here, wore this shirt every day after work. I did everything in this. I slept in this shirt, I lounged around this shirt, wrestled with my kids in this shirt for 2.5 to 3 weeks, and it does not stink. Like, it did not stink. I washed it then because at that point, it just kind of gets that stale aroma to it. But I'm sweating, I'm lounging, I'm wrestling with the kids. I'm doing everything possible in this shirt and it still doesn't stink. You give me a regular t-shirt that I do that for 2 days or 3 days after work, it reeks to high heaven. Not the case here. They have a lot of technology in this to fight bacteria, to fight that growth of that human stench, basically. And it really shows. And if you're out west and you're hiking up and down mountains 4, 5, 6 days, you're tracking over turkeys, you know, you're going to do like what Hunting Public does with their turkey tour, and you are going to be in a base layer and you need to strip all your hunting clothes off and just live in this and not smell like a dead skunk on the side of the road. This is probably a shirt worth looking at. Now, the issue with base layers compared to like raincoats and outer shells is that base layers, in my opinion, they either breathe or they don't, unless you want to spend an exorbitant amount of money to try to get a blend of both. So you can get like a really good merino base layer, or like this, a really good synthetic layer. But if it's breathable, it lets wind in. If it's not very breathable, it stops the wind, but you sweat a lot. And this is on the lighter side. So right now I have about a 10-15 mile an hour. It's not too cold today. It's in the high 40s, low 50s, but I can feel that coming through the entire shirt. So it's breathing really nicely, but in terms of retaining heat without an outer shell, it's not doing anything. And that's not FORLOH, that's just every base layer I've ever worn before. It either keeps you hot and you sweat and you don't get the wind in, or it lets wind in and you get cold. And if for someone like me who hunts in the 10, 20, 30 degree weather, basically for 4 or 5 months out of the year, even in turkey season, I really need a warm base layer unless I'm moving around, which is why I'm excited to use this in turkey season, because once we get into May and we get into that later part of May, as we push towards the end of the season, if I still have a tag, I'm gonna be sweating. We have a lot of topography here in PA. I need to be able to breathe, and this is gonna be excellent for that. If you live out in the elk range, you're hunting antelope out there when of course it's hot out there as well, or in the Pacific Northwest where you're chasing blacktails and stuff like that, and you need moisture control and you're not really worried about cold as much as you are moisture and the ability to have your clothes breathe, then this again is applicable to you. Now, in terms of build quality, it has been excellent. No frays, no rips, no pilling, no nothing. It has been an absolute dream to wear. Incredibly stretchy fabric all the way around. It has integrated thumb holes, which I think every base layer should have integrated thumb holes, but they're not in a stupid place. They're not like clean back in here on the sleeve. They're right on the edge. They're just a little band. You can pop your arms through and then I can just take the thumbs off. I mean, that's a smart design. It's nice and long so you can really tuck it in to your pants or to your bibs and you don't get it pulling out, which is not the case for all base layers that aren't really built with hunting in mind. Of course, being that super stretchy, almost like a spandex type fabric, it is a little athletic cut, so it's not super baggy. It's not going to fold over, but it's not tight. I mean, I have full range of motion no matter which way I do it. It doesn't pull out down here. Now, if you do keep your thumb holes in, obviously it's going to lift with you a little bit more, but even tucked in, it's not going to be a problem, which is really nice because a lot of the base layers that I wear are cheaper. They don't have a whole lot of armpit gusset to them, and when you pull up to draw a bow, it just untucks it right out of your pants. FORLOH has a couple of different camo patterns you're welcome to give a gander to. You can also wear solid colors as well. For base layers, I really like a solid color, although I did want to check out this deep space camo, and they were kind enough to send it to me in this pattern. I'm kind of a sucker for the more original woodland style, you know, almost a little bit digital, but not quite. There are nice patterns out on the market today. I think Sitka, with its little bit too white, I think First Light and Kuiu have a great pattern. This is right up my alley. I really like it. Their rain jacket looks fantastic in this pattern, as well as all their other soft shells on the outside. They would look really good, and particularly if you, like I said, in the Northwest, up in the mountains, or down in the Southeast, if you deal with a lot of rain and you have a lot of insects and a lot of other stuff like that, and your growing season's like 9 months out of the year and you have that much green, this would be a solid option. condition. Now, circling back to what I was talking about earlier with the retaining heat or not retaining heat, one thing that's really good at, because this sun is just absolutely beating down on me, even though it's not super hot today, I can feel how cool this fabric is staying on the inside. And this is what I really think the mid-weight and lightweight layers are going to be for. They're going to be for you actually to shed heat. I would not trust this at all. As an extra skin layer, be nice because it's very soft and very comfortable. But in terms of retaining heat, I think it's a complete wash. But in terms of getting and releasing heat and releasing moisture, this has been fantastic. I've never gotten once this winter hot inside my house wearing this compared to like, let's say a hoodie or some other type of sweatshirt. It really breathes well. It's also when I've gotten sweaty or wet, it has evaporated the moisture really nicely. So again, this is a hot weather garment. I really think it's a warm and moist weather condition type of clothing. I would not trust it here in the Northeast, the Midwest, 20, 30 degrees to keep me warm as an initial base layer. Definitely want to heavyweight something for that. So that's all for this video and my thoughts and opinions on FORLOH's base layer here, and just their company in general. I think they're doing some great stuff and they're definitely worth a try if you're into that premium outdoor clothing market. If you have any questions about FORLOH, I'll put all their links in the description below. You can get in contact with them, or if you want to get in contact with me about FORLOH or any of the other clothing or gear reviews that I've done, follow the links in the description below. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, send me an email, or even leave a comment here on YouTube. Hope you're able to get outside, enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful springtime creation, and we'll get to see you next time.